Okay, so over here to the left are all of the templates that we have available to document with. Last week we went over work plans and checklists. So some of the key things that I highlighted, I'll just go over here quickly. When you begin to work on a process, always start with a work plan. Unless there's some unusual situation and this is, a process that just holds content, or I'm sure people can think of situations where you wouldn't want a work plan, but I would suggest that somewhere around 98% of the time, a process should always have a work plan. The work plan in a process is the guide to the overall process. So I should be able to read these tasks here and kind of know how these other tools are used. And that's accomplished through hyperlinks. So here, if this is a warranty issue, follow the warranty and guarantee policy. And then that policy is right here, but I have a link to it in the work plan. This says, if it's not a warranty issue, resolve it using the providing a solution script. Well, that script is right here. So by following these work plans, I'm then directed in how to use the other tools. So that's one of the key reasons why a work plan is always good to start with. Another key reason is this is where all the detail lives. So this is the training. This is the most detail you can put in with the result being that somebody could read this, study it, follow it, and know how to handle a customer complaint. So always start with a work plan. Checklists are used for quality control. So if you need verification that the steps of this process of handling a customer complaint have been followed, then have a checklist. So if it's for management purposes, so that the manager can go back and reference the checklist and see that the steps were done for the person complaining. It could be for quantification purposes, so you need to measure results in some way, so you want to make sure checklists are done. It could be to keep your employees on track, so making sure that they're doing the steps or the things that they need to do in order to get the results. It can be for scheduling and efficiency purposes, so you can have daily to-do checklists, end-of-the-month checklists, and this is a way of the employee verifying that they've done things that can be reviewed by a manager later. There's also situations where the process is so complicated that the employee needs to track what they've done and what they haven't done. Those types of checklists tend to be used often because the employee themselves sees the need for it because they're trying to track something that's difficult, and they want to verify that they've gone through and done everything they're supposed to do. Aside from that situation, all the other situations I mentioned for why checklists are important, those things aren't readily clear to the employee. So there's where you'll get situations where the employee just stops following it, they just don't do it, they don't think it's important, so they don't do it. That, in a nutshell, is a management issue. So as managers, you need to make sure that the checklists are being filled out. And I'm going to show some examples of that here on the dashboard before we end. It's all about checking that to see that they're there and that they've been done. So let's go to the next tool here. So the next tool down is a script. And the scripting tool is used when there's a conversation in the process, any verbal interaction. So to build a script, you just click the header here, same as we did for work plans and checklists. All the tools work that way. If you want to build one, you just click the header, then you're prompted for the title. So you'd put the name of the script. You don't have to put the word script at the end of this. So we could call this customer complaints. And you can choose to put the word script at the end like I've done here. You can even do like a dash. I kind of like this because, they know it's a script because it's underneath the script header here, but it just makes it stand out a little more when it's being used on the dashboard. It's always above the header name script, so this is, optional. You can put in the purpose of the script, that's the objective, and then you just hit create script. Once you've created a tool like this one, you can always go back here and edit the title, and you can always go here and put in the objective. So this is what the script template looks like. Prompt is the explanation of what's happening. It's the question being asked. It's the situation that the person is in that is causing them to have to say something. The script side are the actual words that are spoken in that situation. So if I click Add Script Item and then I click Open the Prompt, this is where if this is a conversational script, so I'm calling somebody or I'm beginning at some place, then usually this is started with a greeting. And so the prompt is what's happening. I would save that. This is the greeting. And then over here on the script side, this is what I would say when I'm greeting someone. So the words, the actual words that someone would use are here. Then you save it. So with the scripts, after a prompt, you'd put in what the best way to say something. Now, the idea is that people memorize these and they practice them, and it comes out in their own words eventually. It doesn't mean necessarily that it has to be said that specific way every time without exception. Now, you may have situations where that's the case, and you want to make that clear to the employee in the actual process, but most of the time, it comes out in a conversational way. So once you've done the greeting, then you want to think, what's the next thing that happens in the conversation? So you click Add Script Item, and then here, after you've said, hi, how may I help you? Think about what the person that you've just asked that question of or said that to is going to say next, or what they could potentially say next. So this is what I'm describing is called a conversational script. So this type of script goes in a back and forth based on the conversation. Not all conversations happen the same way every time. And if you're thinking that, well, you're right. They don't happen the same way every time. But just like other types of documentation that you would create, it does happen most of the time in the same way. So if you're thinking or you're getting pushback about, well, we can't document a script for this situation because it doesn't happen the same way every time, try to push yourself past that and think, well, what is consistent in this? What is the majority of the time? Because if you can capture what happens the majority of the time, well, that's a great result to get. So think about what the person is likely to say in this situation. This is the customer complaint script, so they're probably calling or you're calling them about a complaint. So you would then think, okay, respond to what they would say next. You'd put in the prompt for what you think that is, and then do the script and go back and forth like that. So I'm going to show you an example of what I just talked about. But before we leave this is the toolbar for the script. It's similar to WORKPLANS and CHECKLISTS and the other toolbars. You can make hyperlinks in a script. I don't see that very often because hyperlinks are usually in WORKPLANS, but you can make hyperlinks here. So I'm just going to hit cancel on this. And then let's go over here to an example. So here's an example of a conversational script. So it starts with a greeting, and then you see over here, hi, I received your request. Let's talk about the situation or a situation. Then think of the next thing. Ask for their version of the situation. Listen. Can you tell me what happened? So in the prompt, get creative with your prompts. Use them. If any of you have ever done acting, make it like an acting script. So in the prompt side, you can put emphasis on things like listen, repeat back what they said, have empathy, be kind. Any way of thinking or the mindset that person, your employee, should have while they're going through this conversation, put in the prompt. It just teaches people where to emphasize things and what their tone should be. So here, this is going back and forth with the conversation all the way until it ends. The script is all drag and drop, so you can pull script items up and down. So if you document the script and then you want to add something, you just add a script item to the bottom and then you can reorder it, but just pulling up and down. Any of the scripts that have come from the library that you've downloaded, like this one, if you download this customer complaint process, if you click, it just opens for you to edit and change the content. All right. So there's another type of script, which is pretty common as well. So there's generally two types of scripts that I would see. One would be a conversational script. So it goes from the beginning to the end. And then the second would be a frequently asked questions script. Usually if you have a conversational script, then you would also have a frequently asked questions script. So if you think about what I said in the beginning about how conversations don't always happen the same way, but they tend to be pretty consistent if you analyze it well enough. For those parts of the conversation that aren't consistent, so they happen one way or another depending on the customer and the situation, these frequently asked questions scripts are really great to fill in the holes. So this is a series of prompts and scripts that don't go one after the other, and they're not necessarily related to each other. They're just things that may or may not happen. They're questions that may or may not get asked. So for all of those variable situations, you can start to tackle that by building out a frequently asked questions script. So you can put in prompts like this, like what to say if the product is damaged or late. So the product may or may not be damaged or late. So that's not necessarily in the conversational script, but it would be in the frequently asked questions script. So this is a situation, and then this is the answer to that. You can build prompts like this one, what to say to over-the-top angry customers. And then you've got maybe some bullet points here, like be apologetic, sympathize, accept responsibility, find a way to help. And then over here on this side, you're putting in the words that somebody would use in order to accomplish, these qualities. So in a conversational script, the prompt could be the situation, or it could be the question, and then the script is the answer / what they say in that situation. You can also have what are called static scripts or stable, which it's just like, how to put your voicemail message in. So the prompt is voicemail message, and then the script is what someone would say when they're recording their voicemail message. So those kinds of scripts exist well, like in telephone answering processes. But these two are pretty typical, the frequently asked questions and then the conversational script inside of processes that have these type of verbal interactions. Scripts are going to be really common in sales processes, customer service processes, managerial processes. Anytime there is information that needs to get disseminated and it has to be done in a certain way, or there are better techniques for doing it than other things. So there's a good way to say something and a not so great way to say something. So if you can train your people to say it in the best way possible, then they're all going to get better results. Another thing that happens when you have conversational scripts is if this is a conversation to try to take someone from being upset about complaining about something, about your service or product, to being happy at the end. So this should start with the greeting, which present yourself in the best way possible, and end with where they're being given a solution. Anywhere along the way here, the conversation could go off in another direction. And the customer tends to pull the salesperson or the customer service rep off in that other direction. So what this type of script can do is help that employee to pull themselves back on track with the conversation so it gets to a satisfactory ending. Under scripts, the next tool down is called uploaded files. So if I just click the uploaded files tool here, you're going to see the title prompt. So when you're uploading a file, it's generally good to name the file the same thing as it's named on your computer. So make those names match just so, it's easy for you to reference what's on your computer or network with what you've put into TouchStone. The acceptable file types are Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint, and PDF documents. So anything that's not in these file types, you either need to save it to a PDF normally if it's a different type of file type, and then you can upload that file. So you just give the file a name. You can put in the purpose of it down here below and the objective. Why are you uploading this? These objectives can be really useful if you use them. So use them to describe what this is here for, what this file document is here for. Then you're going to hit choose file down here. And now I'm browsing my computer. I'm actually on my actual computer. I'd go to the document. Choose that one. You can see it once you've chosen it right here in the field. And then I just hit create file. Now TouchStone's taking, well, that's an unacceptable file type. Let me try another one. So now TouchStone will take that document and upload it to TouchStone. Hopefully that's the right file type. So once the file is uploaded, then this is what it looks like. So you can see to the left here that the file name will appear, and then you see this little button that says View File. If you click that View File button, then that document will open inside of whatever software it was originally in. So if it was a Word document, then Word is going to launch and show you that document in Word, say with Excel, PowerPoint, or PDF. When that document opens, it's opening in that software program. So it's not opening in TouchStone. TouchStone is launching Word, and then it's opening in Word. So why that's important is if you make changes to that document, then those changes aren't happening in TouchStone, they're happening on your computer in Word. So if that's the case, if you're making changes to the document, then you would just want to go to that document, you hit this little edit pencil here, then you go and re-upload the changed document. So essentially you're replacing the old one with the new one, and then you hit save. So with the uploaded files, that's an important thing to remember. That's the only place people get confused about it. If that is an uploaded file and you make a change to it in Word or Excel, make sure you save that document and re-upload it so that the changed document is now inside of the process. So reasons you would upload files, definitely if you have a spreadsheet that is used in the process, then upload that spreadsheet to the process. None of our tools operate like a spreadsheet, so the WORKPLANs and CHECKLISTS, even the document tool, they don't operate that way. So if you have a spreadsheet that you need to do calculations, then upload that to TouchStone. If it's a PowerPoint presentation, well, we don't have a presentation tool. I don't see many PowerPoints anymore because people are using web tools more than they are PowerPoint. But that would have to be a whole uploaded document. If it's a PDF, like a manual or something that's 100 pages long, some kind of operating instructions for equipment or a PDF of how something's supposed to work, take that whole document and upload it. If it's a Word document, though, it's better if it's a Word document to put it in the document tool. So unless it's a Word document that you absolutely need to be in Word, so when somebody completes it or uses it, it has to be in Word for whatever reason, if that's the case, then obviously upload the Word document. But if that's not the case, it's just text or a letter or a form, put it into the document tool. And the reason you'd want to do that is it's easier to use the document tool. You don't have to deal with the view file, and then if you change something, then you have to re-upload it. If it's in the document tool, you just click it, and there it is. So let's go to the document tool. So we call this the document tool because it's like a blank Word document. So once I put in the title, you can see it now appearing down here. And then if I click right where it says click to begin adding content, you'll see the document tool. So the document tool is like a blank Word document. You can build tables if you want. So you just do insert this, and then it gives you options. The advanced will allow you to add, just like table building in Word, it'll allow you to highlight fields and add or delete columns and rows. But this is like what it looks like when you just add a column and a row. So I'm going to show you the custom form tool next, which I think is better for forms. But if you do want a table, then all of this table building row is here. This is also just a blank text field. So here, if I just start typing, then you can see that text appears. So use this if you want to build a table, if you have a list of things, anything that doesn't fit into these other tools. So it doesn't fit into the work plans for whatever reason, it's not a checklist. Anything like that, the document tool is kind of like a catch-all for those things. To write letters, to do sample emails. You can cut and paste in objectives if you want to. You can take anything that's in Word and cut and paste it into the document tool. You can also use it to upload big images. So here's this image uploader. If you want a picture that's 8.5 by 11, or maybe you have a flow chart, you can take a screenshot of it and then paste it into the document tool. So anytime you have a picture that you want to appear large for whatever reason, the document tool is great for that. So I'm just going to save this. Next down, we have the custom form tool. So the custom form tool is used to create fillable forms. So you want to use this tool when you need information about what happened while somebody was performing the process. So this allows you to create fields like this one, or multiple choice questions and so on. And then the idea with this is that people complete it on the dashboard over here. So when you build a form here and then you assign that process to an employee, they can go to the dashboard and actually use that form. They can fill it out on their phones, on their iPads, whatever electronic device they have. They can log into the dashboard, fill out this form, and save it back to TouchStone. Then they themselves or their manager can run reports and get all the forms that were created. So here's how you build a custom form. I'm just going to click the custom form header just like the other tools, and then you put the name of your custom form, hit create form. And now you can see over here to the left, these two were already there, but now there's this form. There are these 5 options for creating fields. Short answer is for something that's a short title. It's a word or two, like somebody's name. So if I hit save, you can see this is the short answer field. If I want to edit this after I've created it, I just click and then it opens, and then I can edit the name or delete it. The paragraph field gives you a large field. So this would be for notes or comments. When someone has to type in maybe paragraphs of information giving you details about what happened while they were dealing with a customer complaint, or after they leave a job. And then same idea, just save. Now this, when somebody types into this on the dashboard, it's going to expand. Multiple choice is when you want to ask a question that has one answer. So if I click multiple choice here, this is going to be where the question goes. So the field label or title is where you type in the question, and then here's where you'd give choices. So multiple choice is where there's one answer. Now I can add more choices just by clicking this little plus sign at the bottom of the last choice I have. So I can add as many choices as I want, or if you hit the negative sign, it's going to delete the choices. You can also reorder the choices just by pulling up and pulling down. This is just reordering them. And then once you save them, this is what it looks like. So use the multiple choice when there's one answer, because here they can't check off A and B, they can just check off one answer. You can do little tricks like this where after you've asked a question, you can put in a paragraph and you can put, why right here and save that. So now this is telling them when they give you answer A, they have to put in why did they choose answer A or why did that happen. Checklist is for when there are numerous answers or there are numerous things that they need to verify that they've done. So if I click checkbox here, it's the same idea. This would be like do these things, and then someone would list out the actual things that they did, and I'll just do A, B, C here for time purposes. And then when I save this one, then it's the same idea as multiple choice, except for somebody can check off multiple boxes here. Drop down is great for when you have a list of things and someone needs to choose one thing on that list, or it's also great for yes/no questions. So this would be the question, and then you type in yes, no, or you can even do like a maybe. And then when I save that, it looks more like this, where when I click this drop down, I can choose an answer. And then you can also do a why under that as well. After you've built the form, you can also drag and drop these things. So you can pull these questions up and down and reorder them. Anytime you want to edit anything that you've put here, you just select it, and then you can either add more choices, delete them, change the field label. So these custom forms are really great when you need information about what happened. They're really great for service industries where people are in the field doing things, or even when they're not, and you need to track information about what the result of that particular service or job was. They're really great for customer service things, like if you don't have a CRM or another system that tracks this for you, building a form in TouchStone and then having people, fill out a form every time they have to deal with a customer complaint or customer satisfaction changes that are being made. They're also great for managerial processes, so things like performance review, verbal and written warnings, preparing for meetings, like creating agenda forms, dealing with discipline things, recruiting and hiring. They're great for that. When a form is, after you've created a form, you can always go here and export it to a PDF, or you can email it to yourself and get a paper version if you want. But the custom form tool is really meant to be used electronically, because you can see where these fields, if I'm typing into this, when I would do it on the dashboard, those fields expand and then all the text gets put into the field. If you print this, then you're only, first of all, you're going to have this box, but then there's not, a whole lot of room to write. If you're going to print a form that you want someone to do handwrite, the document tool is probably better for that. Another great use of the custom form tool is for creating tests. So this is an example of a test. So this is the customer complaint new employee test. So the idea with something like this is, if you build a process and you're training a new employee, you sit them in front of the dashboard in TouchStone. They go through and work through the work plans. They read them, they study them, they memorize the scripts, they practice filling out the forms, they watch videos or listen to audio files that are in that process. They practice doing it by watching someone else for a while. When the manager feels like, or they feel like they're ready, then they take the test. So this would be just something that you would create to test someone's knowledge of the process. And you can literally look at the work plans or look at the scripts and just kind of come up with questions which you think test people's knowledge. Now, this is an open book test if you put it inside the process that it pertains to, because when someone's on the dashboard, they can, refer back to the work plan or look at the script to answer the question. Which is fine. You're still testing their knowledge. Or another thing that it's doing is it's demonstrating that they know where to find that information. They know how to go back to the documentation and find that answer. And then open answer questions are also good. So testing their overall knowledge of it. Next tool down is the policy tool. So to build a policy, same thing as the other tools, I just click the title. Then I'm going to put in the name of the policy, and then I hit create. So this is what the policy template looks like. If you go up here and click this little edit pencil, then it'll open up the policy to edit. The reason it's like that, it's different from the other tools, is we have special coding in that makes it so you can't edit or change that policy on the dashboard. So there's this extra kind of edit pencil that comes up. So here you type in the who it's from, who it's to. Always use a position name, not an employee's name. You can put in the date and then the effective date. With new policies, you can give people, 5 days to review it, type in if it's new or old, and then here's where the actual policy is listed out. When you're done with it, you just save. So the policies tool is really good for documenting things that are legal, compliance, safety related, things that you really want to stand out to the employees. Once a policy is created in a process, you can go send an email out to everyone within that department and say, by the end of the week, I want you to go to your dashboard, review the new policy inside of customer complaints, and make a note to me that you've read it. So then they would go to the dashboard, and I'll show you an example of this before we end, and they would view the policy, they'd make a note and save it. Then at the end of the week, when it's all due, the manager runs a report and sees that everyone has done it. So this is a good way of enforcing and verifying that employees understand the policy. You can also make a policy when you want something to change. So this is a management technique that works really well. So if there's a consistent issue that keeps happening, and it can be a subjective thing where maybe there's something in the culture where there's been a negative person that's done things a certain way or treated people a certain way, that person is now gone, and you want to draw a line in the sand and say this behavior won't be tolerated anymore. So it could be something that is subjective like that, or it could be something very clear cut that employees are just extending warranties to people because it's easier for them to not have to deal with a difficult customer, so they're just going to give them the free service. So you can say no, you have to verify that they have an extended warranty and it's not been over 6 years. That's the policy. So anytime you want to draw a line in the sand and make a change through a rule, then you can do that. It's really effective. And the policy note template makes it stand out. Last two tools here are for uploading video and audio. So when you upload a video, you just click the video header, same as the other tools. You put in the name of your video right here. Let's give it a name. Objective, what is it here for? What's its purpose? You hit choose file, and now you're going to scan your computer for that particular video. So once you've created a video, that's not the right file type, save it to your computer, and then I'm 0 for 3 here. Save it to your computer and then click it and hit choose file, and then you'll see the video uploading, which I'm not going to be successful with that today. As it's uploading, you'll see a little completion screen. So it tells you 5% complete, 3% complete, all the way until it's finished. When it uploads, then you just hit the save button. So the acceptable file types are MP4. You can also do FLV files and different versions of FLV. MP4 is like one of the most standard versions that are out there today. So it's pretty easy to get a video in MP4. There are conversion tools, and we can recommend some if you're struggling with that, but there are free tools on the internet that'll convert any video type to an MP4 so that you can upload it. So use the video tool every time. You can create a visual representation of the process. So this one's a little hard, like customer complaints, unless you do face-to-face complaints with people. So people are walking in and saying, complaining about something. Video might be hard for a process like this one, just because it possibly isn't visual. But anytime something is visual, really consider just shooting a video of it. It's so easy with smartphones nowadays, just to pop open your phone and record someone doing something. It can be just a recording of how something's supposed to look. It can be a recording that you're holding it while someone's doing a role play of how to do a customer complaint. You can do welcome to the company videos with your phone. You can do sales presentations. You can also do screen capture videos. So some of you have seen me use this tool before called Jing. Jing does screen recordings. So you just highlight the screen that you want to record, and then you hit the little capture video, and then it gives you a countdown. It's checking for my mic, which isn't there. So it gives you a countdown, and now it's recording my screen movements here. And I can click around, and I can be talking into the computer, and I can say, all right, let's go through the work plan. The first thing you're going to do is determine if this is a warranty issue. To do that, I need to open up our project management system, go here, click here, view this. So you are using this kind of like as your guide for the video. So the work plan is the textbook. It's the detailed instructions, and then the video is just highlighting what that literally looks like. Then when you're happy with the video, you just hit finish. Now Jing videos, I'm hoping that they're going to update the free version of Jing, but they're in Flash now, which is not even an acceptable file type for most computers. But with the Jing videos, until they do something with Flash, you have to convert it to an MP4, and that's where you'd need a conversion tool to do that. The more robust version of Jing, which is Snagit, and I don't even know how much that costs a month. I don't think it's all that much. Will convert MP4 files for you. And then the most robust version of any screen recording that we use is called Camtasia Studio. And you see a little link to it right here to edit in Camtasia. Camtasia is a couple $100, but it's software, so you don't have to pay a monthly fee for that. But if you're going to do a lot of screen capture recording videos, then Camtasia is a great tool to have for that. So this is now recorded, and if I hit play, you hear my voice now, but it'll play that video. Then you would take that video, you'd go down, you'd save it to your computer, you go down to the video section, name it, hit choose file, find it, and upload. When a video is uploading, it takes about a third of the time of the total video to upload. So if you have an hour-long video, it's going to take about 15 minutes. I do that math right for it to upload. But once it's uploaded, there's no reload time. It's in TouchStone. Like with this video, all I have to do is just hit play and it plays. Try to keep your videos short. Hour-long training videos aren't great. And the reason is people can't retain information that long. So if I'm watching an hour-long video and then you ask me, well, what are the 4 steps in the first 15 minutes of the video, I'm probably not going to remember that. And worse yet, if there isn't a work plan in the process, I have to rewind the video in order to find those first 3 steps. So short 10-minute training videos, 5 to 10 minutes, I think are better. If you have a big, long process, break the videos up into separate videos. Do 5, 10-minute videos, which when they watch them all may be an hour, but they're shorter. You just hold people's attention more. These toolbar items allow you to upload a new video. So if I want to replace this one with a new one, I hit this little upload button. This, just like the other tools, will allow you to take this video out of this process and move it into another one. You can also download your videos. So you click this little arrow and it downloads it back to your computer. You can archive them. So archive one and then replace it with a new one. And then this is the delete. So let's go over to one more point about videos, I think is a good one. Don't think that these have to be big Hollywood productions. They don't. In fact, it's better if they're not. Because if you spend a lot of time, hours editing, hire a film crew to come in, I mean that's exaggerated, but you get the point. Then it's going to be harder for you to want to change that video if you want to make it better, you want to update it because you're going to be married to that version of it. So whip out your phone, shoot a video. They're better, they're more personal, and they can be easily changed and updated. Audio is the same idea, except for it's an MP3 file, not an MP4 file. So with smartphones, again, I remember, this is going to age me, but I remember 10 years ago we used to have these fancy phone recording systems on our phones to record things on tape. That was more cumbersome, but nowadays you can use your smartphone to do that. So record how something's supposed to sound. Anytime there's a script in a process, I think it's great to do a role play of that script. You literally can record an actual conversation, which is useful, but in lieu of that, do a role play of it. Let someone hear how it's supposed to sound. That's really valuable for scripting and for training. How is it supposed to sound when somebody is talking to another person, particularly in this customer complaint process? So you'll see I've got two, examples down here at the bottom of audio files. This is an example of the customer complaint resolution example. So that's this script, someone using this script, and they can hear how it's supposed to sound, the inflection, the tone. And then here's another clever idea, how it's not supposed to sound. This is good because when people are saying something a certain way and you're saying, no, change your tone, they don't often know what you mean by that. Or if you're saying, we had this issue, a few months ago where we had a young millennial that would always use these kind of phrases like you all or you guys, which drives me crazy. So we had her listen to how that sounds, and then she got it for the first time ever. So be creative with these, particularly when you have scripts in a process. So let's go over here to the dashboard, and I'm just going to show you how these tools are used on the dashboard and how they look on the dashboard. So I have a control panel set up for the customer service position. So what this is in this example, I'm the customer service rep. So if I go here, this is the box I fill on the org chart right here. I've been assigned to this position through account administration. So that's how these control panels appear on the dashboard. Over here in account admin, you set up your users and then you assign them a control panel. When someone goes to access a control panel here on the dashboard, they can't edit or change any of this information. These processes are just read-only here. All they can do is read them and use them. So here in the dashboard, I'm able to make groups. So it's not just strategic and tactical like it is on the org or on the job descriptions through the org chart. It's giving me the ability to make groups out of the processes. So using this toolbar item here, I can make a customer service group. I can do like checklists, daily checklists, admin work, reference materials. This is kind of a clever group because there are a certain amount of processes in any position that aren't done all the time. They don't have tasks. They're not action oriented. They're just reference materials. So they're just things I need to know about safety or about quality control. Still important for training purposes, and I still need to have access to these when I need access to them, but they're not everyday things. So you can create a group referencing those and then just drag it. Everything's all drag and drop here, so you can just drag that group to the bottom. You may even have a group like this one that says do not use. So there might be positions where one person does some work of that position and the other person, for whatever reason, does most of that work, but some of it is not their work. Then you can just take processes like that and drag it down to a do not use. Because I'm logged in as my own username and password, as my own credentials, when I go here to my control panel, this is what I'm seeing. But when another customer service rep logs in, they're going to see the same processes, but they could be organized differently based on that person. So when a person goes to a process here on the dashboard, they can look at the content, like here's the work plans. If I'm being trained, I might be required to go to a process like this one, a work plan, and read through it and study it and memorize it and practice it and then save it as done and make notes to my manager and save it. Now it's date and time stamping this, and that lets my manager know that I've completed it, that I feel like I'm done with the training. There may also be active parts of the process, like this checklist here, customer complaint processing. So here I would go to this checklist when I'm dealing with a customer complaint. I can save this as the customer's name who's complaining. In that situation, this would be accurate because this is somebody that's complaining. So whatever you save something as is what can be searched for here in the reports. So then these boxes can be ticked off and then saved back to TouchStone. So it date and time stamps this checklist. I can print it or export the PDF right here now, and it saved a copy of this checklist over here. I can also find it by running a report. So this is what it looks like to use processes. And their webinar number 7, which is coming up in 2 weeks, is all about the dashboard. But I just wanted to close the circle here and show you once something's documented, even to a certain degree, it can be used here on the dashboard. Active things like here's the custom forms. So here's this employee test. So these fields are all live now. So I would be completing this test, answering the questions, checking off. This is checklist boxes. This is a yes, no. So someone's actually doing this test, and then when they save it, again, it's dating and time stamping it and saving a copy of this back to TouchStone. Policy notes. You heard me say how when you build a policy or try to implement a policy, you can email out that department and say there's a new policy inside of customer complaints. I want everyone to go and review it in TouchStone and then make a note to me that you've read it. So what that looks like is the person here go to the policy. They would save it as done or read. And you can tell people how you want them to save things as verification that they've done them, or they don't have to save it as anything. They can just save it, which means they've read it. Oops. Once it's saved, then you have a date and time stamp version of that process or that policy being read and agreed to by that employee. Now, this is only important because you have verification that they've read it, and then you can refer back to it if the policy isn't being used. You can say, hey, you read this on this date, so what's going on now? Uploaded files can be used on the dashboard as well. So you saw me upload this file. So if I want to add information to this spreadsheet or to this file, and then save it back to the dashboard, when I hit View File, I'm going to see that original file, the one that was uploaded over on the 4 functions. I can add information to that spreadsheet, and then I can upload the completed file and save it back to TouchStone. So because something's an uploaded file doesn't mean it just has to sit there. It can still be used. So it can be accessed, information can be put into it, and then it's saved and re-uploaded back to the dashboard. If something's a document, though, like this one here, all I do is click it, and then here's that document. So there's no viewing and filling out and re-uploading. So this is, again, one of the reasons why if something can be in the document tool as opposed to it being an uploaded file, it's preferable. It's just easier to use it. So let's go to 3 processes that I love. And I think I can wrap this up in the next 5 minutes. These 3 customer service processes are great processes for any business. It's how to handle a customer complaint. Customer complaints nowadays are also on the internet, and that's why this process is important too. Reputation monitoring is literally looking for complaints that possibly could be waged against you that are on the internet. It's easy for people to go and put a complaint about you on the internet. It takes 5 seconds. Much harder for someone to call up your company and say, I'm unhappy about this. This is something people do all the time. So either they're complaining about a product or service, literally complaining to you, or they're complaining on the internet, or they're not complaining at all. And that might be because they're happy or because they just didn't bother to complain. And that's where this process comes in. So the customer satisfaction process is to find those people who are happy, but to also find those people who felt like your product or service could be better, and to either make them happy or figure out why they aren't so that you can change it. When customers complain and they're not happy about your product or service, it oftentimes you'll never even know about it. There's a document in this process, and if you download this from the library, you'll see it. And it just has a list of reasons why a customer complaint process, and also reputation monitoring and a customer satisfaction process are so important. This one says price is not the main reason for customer churn. It's actually due to overall poor quality of service. A customer is 4 times more likely to defect to a competitor if the problem is service related and not just price. I think we use this excuse a lot. Well, they just want a cheaper thing. They just want a cheaper thing. It's not actually true. The probability of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70% higher than the probability of selling to a new prospect is 5 to 20%. And those of you who understand the cost of advertising and lead generation should be astounded by this number. So much more expensive to try to get a new prospect than it is to keep an existing one happy. This makes me think all the time, depending on your product or service, it's oftentimes easier to make it right with the customer, even if it costs you money. For every customer complaint, there are 26 other unhappy customers who remain silent. And those people are remaining silent to you. They're not remaining silent to their friends and neighbors and everyone else they talk to. 2% increase in customer retention is the same effect as decreasing costs by 10%. It's a huge number. We call this holes in the bucket. It's like money that you're losing and you don't even see it. You don't even know why. 96% of unhappy customers don't complain. However, 91% of those will simply leave and never come back. A dissatisfied customer will tell 9 to 15 people about their experience. Around 13% of dissatisfied customers tell more than 20 people. So you can read through this on your own. My point of showing this to you is just to build some urgency around implementing these 3 processes. Have an effective way to deal with complaints. Have an effective way to monitor your reputation on the internet. So this is got some techniques in it for reputation monitoring. There's software that's free software you can set up that sends you notifications when people comment on you on main search engines. This is like a no-brainer. You got to do this. There's a checklist here for if you have somebody, a customer service person, going in once a week and just monitoring Facebook, just looking to see what people are saying. Here's a list of reputation monitoring software if you're interested in that. Here's some guidelines for customer interactions on social media. So it gives some examples of how to handle certain things that people might be saying, like don't get into online arguments, apologize, listen. So these are just techniques that you can read through. All this can be edited and changed, obviously, for your own situation. So let's go back here. It all starts with customer satisfaction, though. So you have customers coming in and out. When you complete your work with them, and if you're project-driven or or you're delivering a service, your work with them may come to an end, or you may be doing counter sales, whatever your situation is. Find the timing for your customer satisfaction. Surveys are okay. You can do SurveyMonkey, but we all know that generally people don't fill out surveys. So think about your own version of this. Think about doing a customer satisfaction call. So at a certain point when the job comes to an end, or you've decided to check with your customers on how you're doing, give them a call. Pick up the phone. Say, hey, your project was just done, just following up. How did everything turn out? How did it go for you? How do you like our service? If the job went well, that's great. Ask for a referral. Ask for a testimonial. Ask them to go on to Google reviews and put in a review of you. That will bump up your SEO exponentially. SEO is when someone types in your name, your website comes up. So capitalize on a job that went well. If the job did not go well, figure out why. And that then goes back to customer complaints. If the job didn't go well, figure out why. Go back to your customer complaint process and walk through it with that customer. Amazing things can happen here. One is you guard against all of those issues that I just showed you in the statistics that go down when people are unhappy and you don't even know about it. Another wonderful thing that happens is if you find out where you went wrong, sometimes it's not your fault, and that's just, that is what it is. But if there's a place you went wrong, you can go back over here to the 4 functions. You can go to the function where that mistake happened. So if it was an operational thing, you go here. If it's a sales thing, you go here. If it's an admin finance thing, you go here. So go to the process that created that situation, that created that problem, and fix it. Look and see where you can change the tasks, improve the tasks, solve that problem so that it never happens again. Get rid of that frustration, get rid of that issue. And that's the power of process documentation, that you don't just have to live with things that happen over and over and over again. You can analyze them and you can go and fix them. And if any of you are wondering if this is worth your time to do this, then think about this. Think about all of this. It's definitely worth your time. If you quantify it in this way and you get rid of this, I'm too busy, it's definitely worth your time. So you can download those 3 processes from the doing the business function. They may not be perfect for the way that they are right now as they exist in their library format, but edit them and change them. Make a decision to do 1 customer satisfaction call a month if that's all you have time for, and start to see the results of this.